So I finally got my hands on the new Marvel Premiere collections, and I've been meaning to talk about this and give it a dedicated video because for any of y'all who are familiar with my channel, y'all know I love the compact, cheaper form factors, something you throw in your backpack and keep it moving like a manga tankobon. And so finally Marvel is jumping back into that game, and I say back into that because they actually had digest size, cheaper versions of like Ultimate Spider-Man back in the early 2000s. And so I'm glad that they're finally back into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the price point, the print quality, and some size comparisons for you guys so you can know whether this is something that interests you or not. So for reference, the two that I actually picked up so far are Daredevil Born Again and then Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther. So let's do some size comparisons. So the number one comparison I think a lot of people are curious about is how this compares to the DC Compact Comics. As you can see, the Compact Comic is actually smaller, not by a ton. They're pretty close, but there is a bit of a difference. The Marvel one is bigger. And for reference, the DC Compact Comic actually retails for $9.99 MSRP, and this is actually $14.99. Then next up, this is it compared to a manga tankobon. It's also much bigger. It's got at least 1.5 inches of clearance and then 1 inch this way. So yeah, similar. Now if we compare it to a trade paperback, actually, pretty much what you'd expect. And then lastly, let's do a comparison to an omnibus. And this is kind of what you're dealing with here. So overall, I think that it's a readable size, but it's considerably different in terms of the general form factor and trim size, even compared to stuff like the tankobon and the DC Compact Comic. So let's take a look at the interiors here. You got some cool art here. Then you get into the comics. And as you can see, it kind of has this thinner paper, but it's not so tissue paper thin like some of the Omnis that you'll be afraid that it's going to rip or anything like that. And it's got kind of a matte finish. The colors aren't too bad either, especially not for kind of like a budget title release. So I'm actually not mad at this release at all. And then lastly, in the back, you get a couple covers, got some pencils here, and then some scripts. And the Black Panther release essentially follows the same format. If you have any questions about this release, be sure to let me know in the comments and I'll try to get to all of you. But thanks for watching.